My wife said her weekly massages were just for stress relief, but one night, I found out what was really happening behind that locked door. She wasn't relaxing. She was betraying me. This is the true story of how I caught my wife cheating with her massage therapist and how I took my life back after her lies. I know that sounds like the ending, but it's where my story begins. I'm Ethan, 34. My wife is Lena, 32. We've been together 8 years, married 5. On paper, we're the couple who meal preps quinoa, posts hiking photos, and argues about whether the living room needs another plant. She says yes. I say the pot hose is already judging me. The twist that keeps me up at night. I was the one who bought her the first massage package. It was my "you work so hard" anniversary gift. I introduced the wolf to our door and hung a bow on his neck. At first, Thursdays were harmless. She'd come home loose-shouldered and sleepy, humming, saying her back felt free. I was happy for her. Honestly, I was proud. I thought I was doing the good husband thing, noticing stress, fixing it, being thoughtful. The therapist, Marcus, had a minimalist website, soft music, and a wall of 5-star reviews. It all felt clean and professional. Then the little things started slipping. Lena began dressing up for sports recovery, tinted lip balm, a new perfume with a warm, spicy note, matching lingerie sets, because it makes me feel put together. She said self-care includes feeling pretty. I agreed, even complimented her. Around this time, Thursdays stretched longer. "He's squeezing me in last minute," she'd say. "He's booked weeks out." When she got home, she floated more than walked, like she was lit from inside. The first real tug at my gut was tiny, a second wine glass in the sink on a night I'd been at the gym. "I poured you one and you forgot," she said, cheerful but too quick. Then there was the new lock screen on her phone and the habit of leaving it face down. When I teased her about joining the CIA, she laughed and said I watched too many shows. We settled back into routine, but I felt the routine watching me. Family-wise, everything looked normal. My mom adored Lena's drive. My dad said she had that city sparkle, his highest compliment. On Lena's side, her mother fussed, and her stepdad Frank quizzed me about finances like I was on a game show. Nothing screamed danger, just a vague, low hum under the floorboards of our life. I told myself it was in my head. I told myself trust is love grown up. I told myself Thursdays were just Thursdays. And then came the night the clinic's lights were off, the door was locked, and I heard laughter from the back. That Thursday started like any other. She kissed me on the cheek, said she was running late for her massage, and left in a hurry. I stayed behind, working from home, but something about the way she said it, too cheerful, too rehearsed, got stuck in my head. By 8:30 p.m., she still wasn't back. She usually texted me after her session, something simple like, "Heading home. Love you." At 8:45, I decided to surprise her. Maybe bring coffee and drive her home. I know it sounds corny, but after weeks of tension, I wanted to do something sweet, to remind us who we were before everything started feeling scripted. When I got to the clinic, all the front lights were off. The open sign was dark. Her car was parked out front. My first thought was that she was helping clean up, maybe chatting. But the longer I stood there, the more wrong it felt. The blinds in the front were drawn, but I could see a faint amber light coming from a side window near the alley. I walked quietly around back, trying to talk myself down the whole time. "Don't be crazy, Ethan. Don't be that guy." The back door was slightly ajar. I heard music, not the usual calming ocean waves, but something low and rhythmic. Then voices. Hers. His. A sound that turned my stomach before my brain could name it. I wish I could say I turned away, but I didn't. I stepped closer, and through the narrow crack of that door, I saw them. Her head on his shoulder, his hands on her waist, her whispering something and laughing softly. It wasn't just the physical part that broke me. It was the intimacy of it. The way she looked at him. The same look she used to give me after a long week, like I was the only person who made her feel safe. I froze there, somewhere between rage and disbelief. My chest felt tight, my hands numb. I backed away quietly, my mind racing for any explanation that could make this less real. I drove home, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles ached. When she came home an hour later, she smelled like sandalwood and wine. She kissed me on the head, humming as she kicked off her shoes, and said, "You're still up? You shouldn't wait for me, babe." I looked at her for a long time, searching her face for guilt, for anything. She noticed. "What?" she asked. "Why are you staring at me like that?" I wanted to scream. Instead, I said, "Nothing. Just missed you." She smiled, oblivious, or pretending to be, and disappeared into the shower. I sat there on the couch, staring at the empty wine glass she'd left on the counter. It smelled like red fruit and betrayal. And that's when I knew the life I'd been living wasn't real anymore. Something had shifted forever. The next morning, I woke up before her. I made coffee but didn't drink it. My stomach felt like it was tied in knots. I'd spent half the night rehearsing what I'd say, how I'd stay calm, how I'd make her tell me the truth. When she finally came downstairs, wrapped in a robe, scrolling through her phone, I just watched her for a few seconds. She looked like a stranger pretending to be my wife. "Lena," I said, voice steady but cold. "How long have you been seeing Marcus outside of those appointments?" Her fingers froze on the screen. "Excuse me." I repeated it, slower this time. "How long have you been seeing your massage therapist?" She blinked, tilted her head, and tried to smile. "Ethan, what are you even talking about? Are you seriously jealous of my massage therapist? That's wow." She actually laughed. I didn't. I just said, "I was there last night." The color drained from her face so fast, it was almost beautiful in a horrible way. "You? What do you mean you were there?" "I went to surprise you. The lights were off. The clinic was closed. But I heard you, Lena. I saw you." She looked around, almost like she could find a way out hidden behind the kitchen counter. Then came the classic, "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" I said, finally raising my voice. "You were kissing him. You stayed there after hours. What am I supposed to think?" Her eyes filled with tears on command, like she had rehearsed this in a mirror. I was upset. It was stupid. We were just talking, and one thing led to another. I swear it's only happened once. I stared at her, saying nothing, because I wanted her to fill the silence, and she did. It wasn't even like that, Ethan." He was comforting me. "You've been so distant lately." I almost laughed. "So now it's my fault." She started crying harder, then came closer, falling to her knees right there on the kitchen floor. "Please, Ethan, please don't hate me. It was a mistake. I'll block him. I'll quit the sessions. I'll do anything." Her tears hit my hands, but I didn't move. I just looked down at her, this woman I had trusted more than anyone, and realized I didn't believe a single word coming out of her mouth. "You said it only happened once," I said quietly. "Then why did you lie about working late 3 times last month? Why did you start paying in cash?" That made her freeze. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. She looked up at me with wide, panicked eyes, still on her knees, mascara streaking down her face. "Ethan, save it," I said, stepping back. "You've already said enough." I walked out of the house, leaving her sobbing on the tile. The truth didn't hit me until I was halfway down the block. She hadn't said she was sorry because she loved me. She said it because she'd been caught. For the first few days after that confrontation, the house was eerily quiet. Lena tried to act normal, cooking breakfast, folding laundry, humming to herself like she could drown out what had happened. But every move she made sounded fake to me. Every word was calculated. She started overcompensating. She'd send me long, emotional texts while I was at work. "I miss you so much. You're my whole life. I can't believe I messed this up. Please let me prove it to you. I'm cutting all contact with him." The problem was, I didn't ask her to. I hadn't forgiven her. I hadn't even decided what to do. She was managing the optics, like she was trying to make me forget before I processed what I'd seen. Then came the weirdness with her phone. One night, while she was in the shower, it buzzed twice on the counter. 2 messages from a number with no name saved, just digits. The previews were off, but one line caught my eye. "Miss you already." When she came out, I asked, calm as I could, "Who keeps texting you from that number?" She barely flinched. "Oh, it's just Chloe. She got a new phone." Chloe, her sister, had texted me that same morning from her old number. So I said, "Really?" "She texted me today from the same phone she's always had." Lena blinked, then recovered. "Oh, right. She was using her boyfriend's phone earlier. I forgot." It was almost impressive how easily she could lie. Later that night, while she was sleeping, I used our shared laptop and opened her cloud storage. There it was, automatic photo backups. Dozens of pictures she thought she'd deleted. A few of her at the gym. A few selfies. And then, one of her and Marcus. His arm around her, his hand too low, both of them smiling like they were proud of what they'd done. The timestamp said 3 months ago. So much for it happened once. I didn't sleep at all that night. I just sat in the dark, staring at my reflection in the black screen after I closed the laptop. My hands were shaking, not from anger, from disbelief. The next morning, I printed the photos and left them on the kitchen table under her coffee mug. No note, no explanation. When she came downstairs and saw them, her face turned white, then red. "You had no right to go through my files," she yelled, voice shaking. I just said, "You had no right to burn our marriage." She switched gears instantly. "You're invading my privacy? That's insane, Ethan. You're acting like a psycho." The irony almost made me laugh. "Privacy," I said. "You lost at the moment you let another man touch you." Her expression crumbled then, and she whispered, "I'm sorry." But I could see it, the calculation in her eyes. She wasn't sorry for the affair. She was sorry that the lie collapsed. That was the moment I decided to find out everything. Not just what she'd done, but who she really was behind the woman I thought I married. I had no idea just how many skeletons were waiting in her closet. Once I decided to dig, the truth started pouring out faster than I could brace for it. It was like every drawer I opened, every message I read, had been quietly waiting to explode. I started by checking the phone records. You'd be amazed what a simple billing statement can tell you. Same number, same pattern, short texts during the day, long calls on Thursdays. Then another number appeared, one I didn't recognize, logged at midnight the night she said she was at the girls' night. When I called it from a different phone, a man answered. His tone went from friendly to cautious the moment I said Lena's name. "Who's this?" he asked. "This is her husband," I said. Silence. Then he hung up. I texted him instead. "Don't worry, I'm not after you. Just tell me if she told you she was married." He never replied, but the message turned red within seconds. That told me enough. Over the next few days, the puzzle pieces started clicking into a picture I didn't want to see. She hadn't just cheated with Marcus. She'd been lying for months, maybe longer. There were receipts for lunches, cash withdrawals from near hotels, and emails she thought she deleted. The biggest shock came from her own family. Her sister, Chloe, called me one night, her voice shaky. "Ethan, please don't tell Mom everything," she said. "What do you mean everything?" I asked. Chloe sighed. "I thought you knew. Marcus wasn't the first." That sentence landed like a punch. Chloe admitted Lena had a pattern, emotional flings, what-ifs, co-workers she'd flirted with to feel wanted. I just never saw it because Lena was good at compartmentalizing. To the world, she was charming, bright, successful. To me, she was restless. Her mom called the next morning, crying. "She told me you were being controlling," she said between sobs. "But now, I don't know what to believe." And then there was Frank, her stepdad. He left me a voicemail, slurred, late at night, saying, "You married a heartbreaker, son. Don't let her drag you down with her." It was surreal. These people, who had once defended her like she was a saint, were now confessing they'd seen this coming all along. I confronted Lena that weekend. I laid out everything, the phone logs, the photos, the receipts. She just sat there at the table, shaking her head and whispering, "No, no, you don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly," I said. "You've been lying so long you don't even know what's true anymore." Finally, she broke down completely. Tears, trembling hands, a confession that kept twisting as she spoke. She said she loved me, but she couldn't stop herself. That Marcus made her feel seen, but it didn't mean anything. The contradictions were endless. It was like watching someone rewrite history in real time. When I told her I was done, she panicked. She dropped to her knees again, clutching my arm. "Ethan, please, don't throw us away," she begged. "I'll do therapy. I'll quit my job. I'll change my number." But I had already made my choice. I looked down at her and said, "You can't fix something you never meant to protect." Then I walked out of the house, leaving her kneeling on the floor, surrounded by the ruins she'd built herself. That night, for the first time in months, I slept through until morning. The next few weeks were like watching a storm die down. Quiet, but everything in its path was ruined. Lena tried everything to hold on. Texts, calls, long letters slipped under my parents' door. She came to my office once, stood in the parking lot crying until security told her to leave. I never raised my voice. I just kept repeating the same words. "It's over." My parents were torn. Mom had adored Lena. They used to cook together, share recipes, text daily. When I told her the truth, she just sat there with her hands over her mouth. I thought she was perfect for you, she whispered. How could she do this? Dad was less shocked. I never trusted that smooth talker act, he said. There was something performative about her. Lena's side, though, was chaos. Her mom called mine, crying that it was just a mistake, that I shouldn't destroy her reputation. Frank, her stepdad, left me another voicemail, sounding angrier this time. You should be man enough to forgive. Everyone slips up. Man enough to forgive. That line stuck in my head all week. As if betrayal was a small accident, like a dented car door. I eventually met with Lena once to talk logistics, bills, house, next steps. She came looking wrecked, messy bun, no makeup, her confidence stripped bare. For a split second, I pitied her. Then she opened her mouth. Ethan, she said softly, I know I messed up, but we can rebuild. We're stronger than this. I just stared. You don't even know what this is anymore, I said. You didn't just cheat. You lied for months. You made me doubt myself. Her eyes darted away. You're not innocent either, she murmured. That stunned me. Excuse me. You've been distant for years, she said, voice rising. Always working, never spontaneous. Marcus listened to me. He saw me. You used to, but you stopped. It was such a familiar move, twist the knife, then blame the wound on someone else. I worked, I said quietly, so you could have the life you bragged about to everyone. And when you got bored, you decided to ruin it. She started crying again, full performance mode. I hate myself. Please don't hate me too. I don't, I said. I just don't care anymore. That silenced her. When I stood to leave, she asked, Is there someone else? I laughed bitterly. You think I'd have time for someone else while you were destroying us? She looked small then, fragile. But I didn't stay to comfort her. That used to be my reflex, to fix her storms. Not anymore. That night, I packed a suitcase and moved into a small apartment downtown. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No secrets, no lies, no perfume lingering in the air that wasn't mine. I remember standing on the balcony with a cheap beer, watching the city lights flicker. For the first time in months, I felt something close to peace. It wasn't joy yet, but it was the absence of chaos. And that was a start. The apartment was small, but it became a sort of sanctuary. I bought secondhand furniture, set up a record player, and learned to cook for one. Some nights I'd just sit by the window, watching the city hum, realizing how quiet life could be when no one was lying to you. Lena kept trying to pull me back. One night she called from an unknown number, her voice soft, rehearsed. I know you don't want to talk to me, Ethan, but please listen. I've been seeing a therapist. I'm different now. I said nothing. She filled the silence anyway. I know I destroyed your trust. I know you hate me, but I think about us every day. I haven't even seen Marcus since that night. I finally asked, does it matter? You didn't cheat because of him. You cheated because lying feels easier to you than honesty. She went quiet. Then, voice trembling, that's not fair. I loved you. I almost laughed. No, Lena, you loved what you could take from me. A few days later, I got a message from an unknown woman on Facebook. It was Marcus's wife. She'd seen my name in Lena's emails. Apparently, Lena had reached out to Marcus again, trying to make amends. The wife wanted to know if I could confirm what happened because she was divorcing him, too. I sent her everything. Photos, dates, screenshots. She replied with 2 words, thank you. It should have felt like revenge, but instead, it just felt empty. Like we'd both been in the same wreck, comparing scars. Meanwhile, word got around. Mutual friends started calling, some supportive, some nosy. One told me Lena was telling everyone I'd emotionally abandoned her, that her affair was a cry for help. Classic. Even her mother left me a voicemail saying, you shouldn't punish her forever. She's fragile. I didn't respond. Her family had coddled her all her life. They could keep doing it. But my parents? They became my anchor. Mom would drop by with dinner, pretending it was coincidence. Dad would bring over tools I didn't need, just to keep me company. He told me one night, son, don't let this turn you bitter. Let it make you sharp. Those words stuck. I started running again. 5 a.m., city still dark, lungs burning. I joined a local photography group. Signed up for a weekend hiking trip. Every step away from that house, every new thing I learned, was a tiny act of defiance. Then came the first real test, seeing her again. I ran into Lena at a grocery store one evening, both of us reaching for the same brand of coffee we used to share. She looked thinner, tired. Her smile was polite but shaky. "Hey," she said softly. "You look good." "So do you?" I lied. "I heard you moved downtown," she said. "It suits you." I nodded, then added, "It's peaceful." She swallowed hard. "I'm glad you found peace, Ethan." For the first time, she looked like she meant it. But as I walked away, I realized something even more important. I didn't feel angry anymore. I didn't want her back. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted my life, without her in it. About a month after that awkward grocery store encounter, I finally felt settled. Work was steady, I'd finished my first photography class, and I'd stopped checking my phone expecting another plea from Lena. I even laughed again. Real laughter, not the hollow kind that sounds like pretending. Then one night, while sorting through old paperwork, I found a letter from our accountant about taxes. My name was on the joint return, along with a line that made my stomach twist. Unreported cash income, massage consultation business. Lena's name. Her old therapist's business listed as the payer. I called the accountant. He explained that Lena had apparently received consulting payments from Marcus's clinic for several months. It looked like he'd been giving her money under the table. I hung up before he could finish. It wasn't just emotional betrayal. There was financial deception, too. I checked the joint account we'd kept open for bills. She'd been quietly transferring small sums to herself for months. Enough to hurt, but not enough to trigger suspicion. My first reaction wasn't rage, it was exhaustion. Every time I thought I'd reached the bottom, she dug the pit deeper. I sat there for a long time staring at the statement, then opened my laptop and started drafting a formal separation of finances. The next morning, I got a text from her. "Can we meet? Please. It's important." Against my better judgment, I agreed. Public place, mid-morning cafe. She arrived wearing sunglasses, hair pulled into a tight knot. That mix of defiance and shame she wore like perfume. "Ethan, before you say anything," she started, "I didn't steal from you. It wasn't like that." "Then explain," I said. "He offered to pay me for marketing help," she said quickly, words tripping over themselves. "I never asked for money. He said it was professional." "Professional?" I repeated. "You were having an affair with him." She flushed. "That's over. I was just trying to help him rebuild after his wife left. You know, to make things right." I almost laughed. "So now you're a charity case for your ex-affair partner?" Her voice cracked. "You don't understand. I just wanted to fix something after ruining everything else." I looked at her, really looked, and saw the truth. She wasn't lying to manipulate me this time. She was lying to herself, trying to rewrite the story so she wouldn't have to face what she'd become. "Lena," I said quietly, "stop trying to fix things that are already ashes." She reached across the table, hand trembling. "Ethan, I still love you." I pulled my hand back. "No, you love the man who forgave you before. He doesn't live here anymore." Her eyes filled with tears, but I stood up. "We're done, Lena. No more texts, no more visits. You made your choices. I'm finally making mine." As I walked out into the bright morning, the air felt sharp and new. For the first time, the past didn't feel like a weight. It felt like a closed door. I didn't know it yet, but that was the day I stopped surviving her betrayal and started living for myself again. After that final meeting at the cafe, something in me unclenched. I didn't even realize how tightly I'd been holding on to the pain until I let it go. I closed the joint account, changed my number, and finally blocked her everywhere. That night, I slept for 9 straight hours, the first time in nearly a year. I started to rebuild. Not the version of my life that existed before her betrayal, but something new, something mine. I signed up for a weekend photography trip in Colorado, just me and a group of strangers. We hiked through misty mountains, took sunrise shots, shared stories by a campfire. For the first time, I wasn't the guy with the cheating wife. I was just Ethan again. On one of those hikes, I met Maya, a travel nurse from Oregon. She had this unfiltered laugh, the kind that makes people around her smile whether they want to or not. We talked about everything: music, food, the weird comfort of coffee at sunrise. No flirting, no expectations, just honesty. It felt clean. When I got home, my mom hugged me tighter than usual. "You look lighter," she said. Dad nodded in quiet approval. Even my coworkers noticed. One of them joked that I'd finally stopped looking like a ghost who pays taxes. One evening, I ran into Lena's mother at the grocery store. She looked worn down, older somehow. She sighed when she saw me. "I'm sorry for what she did to you, Ethan. You didn't deserve that." I appreciated the words, but didn't need them anymore. We're both where we need to be, I said simply. She nodded, eyes watery. She's not doing well. Lost her job, can't seem to keep anything stable. For a second, I felt a flicker of pity, then it passed. I wasn't her savior anymore. The following month, I had my first gallery showing through the local photography club. Small venue, a few dozen people, but standing there, watching strangers admire my work, I felt something powerful, pride. Afterward, Maya showed up. She'd driven in from out of state just to surprise me. I wanted to see your world, she said. We had dinner, laughed, and when she left, she kissed my cheek and whispered, "You're doing great, Ethan." On my way home, I realized something. For months, I'd measured my worth by what Lena took from me: trust, time, peace. But now, I was finally building things no one could take away. That night, I walked through my apartment, my plants thriving, photos lining the walls, the air smelling faintly of coffee and calm, and thought, this is what healing looks like. Not revenge, not replacement, just quiet, deliberate peace. And maybe, for the first time, I believed I deserved it. Almost a year had passed since everything collapsed, and sometimes I would catch myself thinking, was that really my life? The marriage, the betrayal, the months of chaos, they felt like something that had happened to someone else. The scars were still there, but they'd stopped aching. Every morning I'd run by the river, camera slung across my shoulder, chasing light instead of ghosts. Some days I'd send a photo to my mom, who always texted back, "That's beautiful. So are you." One evening, I found myself scrolling through an old folder on my laptop. It held pictures of Lena and me, smiles, vacations, anniversaries. For a moment, I almost deleted them all. But then I stopped. Those memories weren't just about her. They were part of my story too. Proof that I loved deeply, even if it ended painfully. I decided to keep them, not as a shrine, but as a reminder that I'd survived. A few weeks later, Maya and I met again, this time at a small coffee shop by the harbor. She looked at me and said, "You talk about your past differently now, like you're not angry anymore." I smiled. I think I finally learned the difference between letting go and pretending to forget. She nodded. "And which one is this?" "Letting go," I said. That night, walking home through the quiet streets, I realized I didn't need revenge or closure from Lena, or even an apology. What I needed was exactly what I had, my life on my own terms. When I got home, I opened a new document on my computer and started typing, my story, not hers. Every twist, every lie, every bruise, written down in my own words. Not to publish, not to relive, but to release. I ended it with this. If you ever find yourself wondering if you're enough, remember, people who lie, cheat, and destroy do it to fill their own emptiness. It was never about you. Walk away before you start believing their story is yours. Now, when I tell friends what happened, I don't talk about the affair. I talk about what came after, the stillness, the rebuilding, the rediscovery. Lena remains somewhere out there, chasing the next thing to fill her silence. And me? I've learned that peace doesn't come from getting even. It comes from standing in the wreckage of what hurt you and realizing you don't have to rebuild the same house again. If you're reading this because you're standing where I once stood, broken, humiliated, unsure, remember this. You'll heal faster the moment you stop asking why they did it and start asking what comes next for me. Because that's the moment you stop surviving the storm and start becoming the calm after it. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us.